And so this lady right here has a lyric, and she's parked outside of a store selling Valentine's Day products. So she's got some gift baskets, and I'm gonna patronize her, buy some baskets for my boo, bae, how the fuck you pronounce it. So let's get this going right here. Okay, so I guess I'll pick it out. Yeah, they didn't have what I wanted.
But the little exfoliation gloves are different.
Red gloves, red bear. Is that possible?
No,
Okay.
I didn't mix the red.
Well, red bear. Yeah, red bear is good.
Okay.
So the exfoliation gloves probably don't really matter.
Okay. There's another red bear.
If you want to get laid, I'm going to let you in on a big secret. The most sensitive body part of any woman is her ears. Yes, that's right. The way to a girl's heart is through her ears. The best way to turn her on is by exciting her ears. Tell her she's beautiful. Compliment her over and over again. Use words to make her feel special. Remember, ears comes first, panties drop second.
Okay, so another Passport Bro update. Now, I was actually watching Vice's Passport Bro. I guess you could say it's an expose, and I was watching it earlier today while I had my lunch break. So it was about 45 to 47 minutes long, but I have like a 2-hour break, and I was able to watch the entire thing. Now, I kind of felt that it was interesting that they released this now, considering it's basically the dead center of winter. And on top of that, Valentine's Day is tomorrow. Now, first of all, just in case you're new here, because I noticed there are some new people here on my channel. Just in case you're new here, it's important to understand who the Passport Bros are. The Passport Bros are African American or black men who are going abroad and they're seeking relationships in foreign countries with foreign women. Most of it is for relationships and marriage. Now, do not get the Passport Bros confused with the Passport Pookies who typically just go overseas for sex tourism. Those are, the black males they call the Passport Pookies. Or the white men who go overseas looking for the same thing, relationships and marriage and whatnot. Those are the Passport Joes. The Passport Bros are specifically black males. Also, don't allow women to confuse you because they like to, project their insecurities on men. Don't let them confuse you. There's nothing illegal about having your passport going overseas and finding relationships. What they try to do is they try to paint you as if you're some kind of trafficker, or they try to paint it as if you're doing something wrong. Those are the transport bros. Those are called the transport bros because they transport hoes. We have absolutely nothing to do with them. The Passport Bros are black men who have decided to go abroad and to get relationships and marriage. We have nothing to do with the Transport Bros. We have nothing to do with the Passport Pookies. Every now and then we may hang out with the Passport Joes, or we may hang out with some of the Passport Jose's. Those are the Hispanic men who do the same thing. But they don't really have to do it that much because they have like gorgeous women. And then there's the Passport Chos. Those are the Korean guys who go down to other parts of Southeast Asia looking for wives. That also includes the Chinese men and the Japanese men too. So we call those the Passport Chos, CHO. So I just needed you to get these definitions down just so you're not confused. So I watched Vice's special, and a couple of hours ago, they actually posted up the written version of it. And I'm pretty sure the written version is probably not as long as the video version. So I'm not going to keep you too long with this. I just wanted to make this as an update. Watch the Passport Bros in search of king treatment in Colombia. In the second episode of Follow the Leader, Jamali Maddox meets the Passport Bros looking for love or at least respect in Colombia. At least respect? Yeah. Okay. Follow the Leader is a 4-part series. 4 parts. 4-part series exploring some of the most intriguing fringe cultures across America. Okay, first of all, I have a problem with this. There's nothing fringe about men going abroad looking for relationships and marriage. There's nothing fringe about that at all. White men have been doing this for a very long time. World War I, World War II, they were getting French wives, they were getting German wives, they were getting Japanese wives, they were getting Chinese wives. There's nothing at all fringe about this. In fact, I would say this is more normal at this point than getting women right here. Now, I'd just like to point out before I go on, Valentine's Day is tomorrow. One thing you're going to notice, and I've noticed this for the last couple of Valentine's Days, a lot of these women who are on TikTok and they're on Facebook, Instagram talking shit, a lot of their social medias go dark because all those pictures they were posting of being taken out for food and going on food, all that just comes to a halt. Unless they're married or unless they have a significant other, all that stuff comes to a halt. What you end up getting is you get women complaining that the men aren't taking them out on dates. Now, see, the funny thing about America, and I don't want to spend too much time on this. The funny thing about America, they've got a day to make you feel like shit if you don't meet the criteria. Like, for example, Mother's and Father's Day, right? Well, there's a lot of people whose mother and father just died. There's a lot of people who are mothers and fathers and they lost their child. It's like, imagine you've got every 365 days of the year, you've got a day that comes up, and if you don't meet the criteria, you feel like shit. Now, Valentine's Day is just another one of those days, along with Christmas and Thanksgiving. There's a lot of people who don't have a family. There's a lot of people who are homeless. And they may not be in the mood because here you got this day that comes up that tells you, yeah, you're supposed to be celebrating. Problem is you don't have what you need to celebrate. Like, for instance, Mother's Day. I would imagine Mother's Day is especially hard on all of these women who've allowed themselves to age out, never had any children, never had a husband. And, Mother's Day comes up and it just comes along and goes. And they're just left feeling really bad about themselves because, when they think about, I chased after the money and I chased after the career and I let my eggs go to waste. And I'm thinking, I've got one in my mind right now I'm thinking of, I let my eggs go to waste and now I'm 43 and, I can't get pregnant. I'd have to get that in vitro. That's $10,000. But if I go to the sperm bank, the black men aren't donating sperm anymore. So I can't even have a baby that looks like me. I'm going to have to get it from a white guy or I'm going to have to go get it from some Chinese man. And it's sad because the thing about it is they waited all this time and they just ran their eggs out and the eggs one by one deposited them in the garbage can and those maxi pads. They just let all the eggs just run out. It's like when you go to Key Food and there's like one of those 25 cents gumball machines and you watch the gumballs, people buy the gumballs and you watch the gumballs, it slowly empties out. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Those ovaries, they don't have unlimited eggs. Men can get women pregnant up until they die. Like they could be like 90. And if you're look at Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, you can be old. Now, that doesn't mean that your kid is going to come out perfect. So you probably have to get a young wife in order to make sure that you balance out the fact that you're old. But you can still do it. And, that's the beauty of nature. See, nature was very smart when they did that. See, nature, they didn't intend on women spending all their life in a freaking school running up student loan debt. What they intended, nature basically said, you know what? You need to get married relatively young and you need to have children and you need to do it now because if you wait, I'm going to turn those eggs inside those ovaries into cysts and cancer and they're going to eat you inside out. And that's basically how it works. I'm not a medical professional, but that's basically how it works. So anyway, it says in the documentary series hosted, Jamali Maddox speaks with some unique individuals from committed predator hunters to 14-year-old gang members. Follow the Leader is only available in the U.S. but shared in its entirety on the Vice YouTube channel. The first episode saw Jamali meet with controversial predator hunters who have made it their mission to target and confront online child predators. You can watch that episode here. In the latest episode, Follow the Leader, Jamali heads to Medellin, Colombia, to meet with the passport bros, the black men who left America in hopes of meeting, dating, and even marrying Colombian women who will treat them like kings. The passport bros appear to live the dream, partying in houses full of beautiful women who cook delectable meals, all with a gorgeous backdrop. This kind of luxury and respect is not readily available in America, they claim. And it's not. First of all, the cost of living in Colombia, just like the cost of living in Thailand, Philippines, and a number of other countries, Cambodia, Vietnam, the passport bros go to these countries regularly because number one, the cost of living is relatively low. It's far lower than it is here in New York or far lower than it is in most of America. So when you go to these other countries, if you stay in an Airbnb or if you stay in a decent apartment, you stay in one of those nice apartments they have, especially if you go to Thailand, Vietnam, or Cambodia, you get these gorgeous, beautiful apartments that cost you a fraction of what it would cost you per month to have an apartment or a house here. Now that most of these jobs are digital and they're online and global, you can be anywhere in the world on some of these jobs. Now it's to the point where you have a chance with certain jobs to travel abroad. There are a lot of American men who aren't comfortable traveling abroad and probably will never travel abroad. There's a large number of American men who don't even have passports. So they're forced to stay here and deal with sloppy seconds, we'll say. So the reality is, it's like if you're one of those men, you got your passport, you're able to get one of these online jobs, you can go anywhere in the world. Hell, someday, you might be able to go to Mars. There's nothing there right now, but someday you might be able to do that. Okay, so men are becoming weaker and women are becoming more entitled. One of the passport bros has said, when you go overseas to other countries, you can find more traditional values in women who respect men. Now, let me be very clear about this because I don't like mincing words. The reason why the women abroad respect their men is because they ain't got no goddamn choice. Let's take Afghanistan, Iraq, Colombia, Brazil. Let's take those as examples. Them men ain't tolerating any disrespect at all. In fact, in most of these countries outside of America and outside of most of these Western nations, disrespecting men can get you absolutely canceled and deleted. Control, Alt, deleted. They don't tolerate nothing. So disrespecting a man is probably not your best idea in most of these other countries. That's number one. So in America, it's not like that because the women have basically told the men to their faces, yeah, I say whatever I want. I do whatever I want. I don't have to respect. They tell their own fathers this. I don't have to do anything you say. You don't pay my bills, blah, 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 blah. And they have a welfare state to fall back on. Now, I should say had, because I've got a president right now with Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, and he seems to be cutting as much welfare as he can cut. God knows what he's going after tomorrow. Eventually, the welfare state will be completely decapitated. And, add to that the leftovers of the Biden economy and the inflation, which is so high post-COVID. I think women are going to definitely have a come to Jesus moment. But we can't wait for that. We can't count on that. The simple fact is, the only thing you need to do is get your passport, and you need to be focused on greener pastures abroad. So let's get back to that in a second. It says, so the bros take to the street, scoping out attractive women and approaching them with flattering remarks. This act, of course, poses potential risks, especially when using dating apps in the country, as many use them to lure in victims they then drug and rob. The U.S. Embassy has even issued warnings after such incidents resulted in deaths. Now, as a passport bro, I have argued with numerous people online that there are certain countries that you just shouldn't go to. Now, unfortunately, Colombia has probably, along Colombia and Brazil, they pretty much have the most eclectic mix of bubble butt women that I've ever seen. There's one in my mind right now. I dated a Colombian chick. She was really thin, and she was like, she didn't have a bubble butt. She wasn't one of these bubble butt Colombians. She was not that. She looked like she could have been like one of these regular average movie stars where they just pick, they say, hey, we need some chick who's thin and who's a brunette. and that's it. And yeah, that like I dated a Colombian chick. She was nice. She was very friendly and very feminine. But let me tell you something. These new Colombian, man, I don't know where the hell they got them from, man. It looks like they're walking around trying to steal pillows in their ass. It's just ridiculous. It's like they're stealing from bakeries and they're stealing all the cakes. I don't know what to say. So I can't tell men, grown men, that you shouldn't go to Colombia because I already understand the reason why they're going to Colombia. They're not going there for no goddamn culture. Anybody, first of all, let's just be perfectly honest. Anybody who tells you that they go into these countries for some goddamn culture, they're lying. Okay? Yeah, I visit the museum when I go to these countries, but I usually barely read the stuff on the wall, and I usually don't stay there that long. That's not why we go to them. It ain't no damn cult. What are you kidding? It ain't no cult. You think these dudes are going to these countries and going to the legislative branch to sit down and read the laws? No. They go in there to party with women, and that's all it comes down to. But don't be ashamed, because that's what it is. Don't be ashamed. Don't let anybody shame you over that. That's what it is. Don't be ashamed at all. You don't have to. Next time somebody says, why are you going to Colombia? Say, because I want to party with the bubble butt Colombian babes. Just say that. Don't try to say, because I want to fucking see their culture. Nobody gives a... Their food, maybe you want to go there just to eat their food. Okay, I'll give you that. But don't say no bullshit about, oh, I want to go see their culture. No, you don't. Just stop. Just stop the cap. Let's see. And as for the warnings, let me just say this. I had to argue with these dumbasses because of the scopolamine incidents. Now, I've already made my point clear. The countries I go to, like, if you even got caught with drugs like that as a female in one of those countries, they put you to death. In Singapore just hanged some chick who was dealing drugs. What was it? Malaysia, Singapore, those countries down there, they don't play. Thailand, when you come into Thailand, you know what I'm talking about. If you've ever gone to Thailand before, you go there on vacation. When you enter that border, the first sign that you see, one of the first signs you see is drugs equals death. If you're bringing drugs in there, you are a candidate for the death penalty. You don't need to worry about women in those countries drugging you, because if they even got caught with that stuff, they'd be executed. So Colombia, to me, I have a problem with countries that don't have laws as strict and authoritarian and totalitarian as the countries I go to. For instance, my favorite countries: Japan, China, South Korea, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand. I like Indonesia. I like Bali. I like Singapore. It's very nice. I just don't see myself going there again. Bottom line is, those countries all have one thing in common. They're not playing no games with drugs. They're not playing no games. So if you want to go to one of these places and you don't want to have to worry about chicks drugging you and shit, those are some decent countries to go to. Now, I'm not saying that something can't happen to you, because a lot of these dumbass Australians and a lot of these dumbass Europeans, they go to these countries, they get drunk. Every time you go to one of these countries, you see them. They're always in the bar. They get drunk. They start fights. And some of them get themselves killed. Like, they get themselves beat to death. And good for them. I ain't got nothing to say about that. If the natives feel that they got to kill one of these tourists off because they got drunk and did something that's got nothing to do with me. But the bottom line is, as far as this nonsense about women coming to your hotel room or your Airbnb and bringing scopolamine and drugging you and everything, I can't tolerate that. I'm sorry, I can't tolerate that. The government in Colombia needs to clamp down on that, and they need to do it viciously and permanently. Same thing goes for Brazil. However, Brazil, you really don't hear about that happening as much in Brazil as you really hear about that mostly in Colombia, specifically scopolamine. It's like they have a national drug that they use. Now, Brazil, you really don't hear about that. In Brazil, typically, as long as you stay away from the favelas and you stay away from these gangbangers, you're okay, typically. But Also, there are other countries down in South America that are very safe now. Like, I have to give it to him. Nayib Bukele proved me wrong. He took that country, he locked up everybody who was causing a problem. So now, if you were to go to El Salvador is safe. Apparently, it's very safe there because he locked up everybody. And sometimes that's just what you got to do. So, like, some people try to criticize me because I like authoritarian dictators and stuff. But guess what? They make the country safe, even if they got to lock your ass up because you're a problem. And that's just what it is. If you're not a problem, you're not going to get locked up. All you got to do is not do drugs, not sell drugs, not do gun violence, not do gangbanging, and you're fine. Meanwhile, like, these countries are messed up because you got these people drugging the goddamn tourists. Like, that's stupid. Why would you be drugging the tourists when they're bringing all this money into your economy? But some of these people are such criminals that they feel that they can just rob you and that's it. And they don't care if you overdose on the drug that they give you, and they'll let you die. And they'll take your wallet, they'll take your computer, they'll take your phone, and they'll sell that stuff, and they'll just let you die. Not in the countries I go to. The countries I go to, if you even get caught with that stuff over there, you're going to be hanging from the rafters. Like, you just picture it. Like, that's what they do. They hang them. They hang them over there. They don't play that game. What did they say? Clothes are hanged. No, wait. Clothes are hung. You hang up the clothes. Clothes are hung. Men are hanged. Yeah, they don't play over there. And that's what I like. Because you know why? When I go over there, got my business class flight, I feel uncomfortable. I can take my shower. I don't have to worry about nobody stealing my stuff, because if you get caught stealing over there, they beat you to death. So I got my stuff. Everything's safe. I don't have to worry about losing anything. I get on that plane, business class, fly over there, very comfortable, get off the plane. You think any of those cab drivers are thinking about kidnapping me? Hell no. If they get caught over there trying to kidnap a tourist, executed. In Japan, for example, Japan still has the death penalty. In Japan, they don't tell you when they're going to execute you. They just put you in the jail, and you're supposed to go every day not knowing when that last day is coming. And when they finally do show up for you, then you're like, oh, damn, this is it. And you live every day not knowing. Now, China, they have a more direct approach. They take you out into a field and shoot you in the back of the head. They have, like, soldiers, and they have rifles, those AK-47s. And what they do is they take you to the field, they have you kneel down, and they're like, excuse me, yes, could you please open your mouth? Because the problem with the teeth enamel is that it's really hard, and it's actually harder than the bullet to some extent. So when the bullet goes through the back of your head and it hits that enamel, it can ricochet and it can come back. It might hurt the soldier. We don't want that, right? After they're finished dealing with your ass, they can send your family the bill for the bullet, because after all, the state shouldn't have to pay for that. Not like that here in America. See, here in America, we've got murderers like Dylan Roof. You shoot up a church full of black people. Why is this motherfucker still alive? I don't understand why he's still alive. If I'm not mistaken, Loeffner and a number of these other active murderers, like, they're still alive. Why are they still alive? If this was China, you'd have had a 2-hour trial. You'd have been found guilty, and that'd have been it. The Boston Marathon bombers, the Sarnev brothers, at least one of them, I believe, is still alive. Why? Why are you still alive? I believe Peyton Gendron or something, Peyton Gendry, up there, New York State, because New York State doesn't have the death penalty, right? So it goes to a supermarket, killing people at the supermarket, active shooter, and you're still alive. Now, if this was any of those Southeast Asian countries, you'd be dog food right now. You'd be puppy chow right now. Now, if President Donald Trump wants to bring forth all of those, like for these people who happen to live in these goddamn Democrat-controlled liberal shithole states, And President Trump, if he wants to bring forth federal death penalties for certain crimes, bring it on. Bring it on. Because these people think they can get away with this stuff. I ain't down for that. So, Mr. President, do what you got to do. You and Doge and Elon, you pass whatever you got to pass. Get it done. So anyway, where are we? Let's see. So the bros take to the street. Oh, wait, I already read that. Let me keep going. The community of pickup artists started as a men's health movement. I honestly don't remember the Passport Bros starting as a men's health movement. I really don't. But it says, according to one member, has led to women bashing and misogynistic ideologies, as well as dangerous acts. Okay, let's analyze that real quick. Women bashing is most likely a result of the fact that these men have to spend money to go abroad looking for relationships and marriage because they cannot trust the women right here. So if you want to label that misogyny, because I looked up the definition of the word, I think it said something about a strong dislike and distrust of women or something. If that's the word you want to use, fine by me. It seems to fit. But if they don't trust the women, then you got to ask yourself why. If it's because of the laws and divorces stripping these men of half of their shit, like me personally, right here, I got 2 houses in my name. I got 2 cars in my name. I got Exo Squad figures. I got computers. I got laptop. I got all this shit. PlayStation, Xbox, all this stuff, right? I could never imagine losing half of my shit because some bitch says that she's not in love no more. But a lot of men have dealt with that. And a lot of men have lost their minds, deleted himself and all this. And the reality is, it's like, wait a minute. If I worked for all this, why would I risk losing half my shit? If I worked for my pension and I was on a job for a long period of time, why would I risk losing half of my shit? Why would I do that? I may get to it a little bit later, but China has changed their marriage laws recently and made it easier to get married, more difficult to get divorced. So I may go to that in a little while. But anyway, let's get back to the story. It says, still the Passport Bros persist and share their message online, feeding a growing culture that's progressing too far in the wrong direction. So understand this. The writer thinks that the Passport Bros are moving in the wrong direction. So just understand that. Okay, it says you can watch the second episode of Follow the Leader. Yes, I already saw this. This is the Colombian chick right here. So that's the end of the story right there. So that's really the end of the article. They have let you know that they believe that the Passport Bros are moving in the wrong direction. I disagree. The Passport Bros are moving in the absolute right direction. Now, the reason why there's so many people adverse to Passport Bros. Number one, you've got men who can't travel for whatever reason. There's a lot of them who can't go abroad. They have jobs here, and those jobs they cannot leave. So they're not going to be able to live like kings in another country. Because you have to understand, if you have a job in another country, even if you're only making like $80,000 or $90,000, or maybe even $100,000, if you're making that kind of money in another country, you're living like a king. Their cost of living is much, much lower. On top of that, their daily cost of just doing everything is much, much lower. Now, imagine you're in a tropical climate. Imagine that you're a Passport Bro or digital nomad, whatever you want to be. Imagine you're in a tropical climate. You're dressed in summer clothes every day. Every day you wake up and all you got to do is your little computer job, whatever it is. And then during the off time, you're swimming, you're just walking around, enjoying the nightlife. Now, this is the warm summer tropical climate. These women are half naked. And that's the norm because it's so hot in these, like you're near Ecuador or you're in Brazil and it's a rainforest and it's hot as hell. And the women are goddamn near half naked. Or let's say you're in Thailand, they running around with water guns, soaking each other, and this is your job. You get paid for that shit. There's a lot of men out there who are jealous And they're so jealous. They can't even imagine living like that. They can't even imagine that. They're jealous. Because if you really think about it, who's going to get these type of jobs anyway where you're working cybersecurity and you're doing stuff like that? You're doing all this cyber terminals and stuff. Who's going to get those kind of jobs? Basically, you're dealing with nerds, for lack of a better word. You're dealing with guys who spend a lot of time behind a computer, staring at numbers, staring at code. Yeah, these guys aren't going out with, the heifers and the 304s. They're not going out with those women. They're probably a little socially awkward, maybe. But the reality is, they're the ones who are going to get these type of jobs. And they're going to go abroad and they're going to enjoy those type of jobs. They're going to enjoy that summer all year long weather at the equator. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? There's a lot of people who are jealous. The next level of jealousy is going to be the women. Obviously, you're taking all that resource, all that money. Right now, do you understand that there are wait lists? Because you got to understand, first of all, when it comes to this housing market, men are competing with women for housing. See, it was okay when women and men were, working everything out together and they were having relationships and they would get a house together. That meant that now you don't have to have as many houses on the market. But what's happening now is men are competing with women for housing. Women are competing with men for housing. Not just houses, but also apartments. So you have to understand, the government ain't building apartments. These developers ain't building apartments. They're not, I heard numbers. They said that they would need to build like 30,000 apartments like a year. That's not happening. So guess what? These women are left unable to afford to live. Because as you know, when it costs you like $100 and something to do your hair, and it costs you all this money that you got to spend every single day on maxi pads, and you got to do all this and that, we got to get your nails done, that's expensive. Like me, I go to the barber, it's $25 like every week. It's like, that ain't that much. It's like, what is that? What, $100 a month? That's not that bad. But these women, they get their hair done and stuff, man, that shit costs them a fortune. So the reality is, they're struggling to pay these bills. And the reality is, rent is high, inflation is higher. They're in competition. You got to understand, men and women are in direct competition with each other at this point. See, having women stay in the house and be housewives, that kept them out of the competition. That made it so that they didn't have to compete. Now they have to compete. And I've got news for you. They're not very good at it. So let me tell you something. Elon Musk, Donald Trump cutting these fucking jobs. They're talking about the Department of Education. They're talking about cutting EPA and all. A lot of these jobs, like when you hear these women talk, oh yeah, I stay at home and I work on the computer and I'm there for my daughter and all that bullshit, and I make $100,000 a year. A lot of those government jobs, those jobs are about to disappear. I was just looking. Trump said something about, oh yeah, if we catch you working a second job and quitting your first job, we're going to fire you. They're not playing. So you can bet that a lot of, and we saw it during COVID, a lot of these cushy office jobs disappeared. A lot of those cushy office jobs. You remember when the women had these cushy, now the men are out there busting their ass, digging trenches and shit, and digging holes and fixing pipes and electricity. The women had the cushy office jobs. Like when you call somebody, it says push 1 for English, push 2 for Spanish. You push 2, you get a woman behind the desk. You push 1, you get a woman behind the desk. They were having a good old time. But guess what? Doge ain't having it. Doge, Dodge, Dog. I don't even know how you're supposed to pronounce that shit, nor do I care. Doge ain't having it. They said, if we catch you doing another job, you're getting fired. I think they tried to get them some kind of buyout or something. I don't even know if that was constitutional, but the bottom line is they not playing. A lot of those cushy jobs are about to disappear. So you've put these women in a situation where the resources are drying up. Men are getting their passports. They're not even playing the marriage game. They're not playing the dating game. The women keep complaining every single TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. The women are complaining the men don't date them. Oh, where the men at? It's like, nah. It's like they're not playing. Like the women complain that the guys don't come to the singles event. It's like, I ain't got time for that shit. It's like, no, they're not coming. They're just not coming. And it's just amazing. We got Valentine's Day tomorrow. Valentine's Day. And the thing about it is, you got to understand, I need you to listen to it from the woman's point of view. A lot of them, they ain't getting no flowers. They ain't getting no candy. They're not getting nothing. Like Valentine's Day used to be like a day where guys would like be proposing to them and stuff and giving them necklaces and jewelry and shit. Let me tell you something. They ain't getting nothing. It's so bad. They ain't even going out on no date. I'm taking my chick. We're going out to a restaurant. I might take a couple of pictures, put it on my community chat. But guess what? They ain't getting nothing. They get nothing. Nothing. And then the sad thing is, a lot of these dudes have wives, but then they're dating chicks on the side, mistresses. And these guys are idiots to the point where they'll take a chick out to the same restaurant that he took his other chick out to the day before. See, understand something. I'm going to just say it like this. If a dude didn't bring you candy or flowers or something for Valentine's Day, even a card. And I'm not talking about one of them cards that you just pick up off the side where it says Hallmark. I'm talking about one of them cards where you actually write feelings and shit in it. Oh, I love you. Oh, you my boo. You my bae. I love you to the umpteenth pound. Like, he got to write something in there. See, that's something that dudes stop doing. Like, when they're kids, they're forced to do that shit in the school, and they're forced to write their parents love letters and all that, But they stop doing that shit as soon as they can. If your man ain't bringing you nothing, and he don't take you out for restaurant time, he better, even if he take you to the Cheesecake Factory. I know the women say, nah, I refuse to do that. If he don't take you nowhere, and he's, baby, we'll go. Oh, it's Friday. I'm a little tired. We'll go out tomorrow. If he don't take you out Friday night, that's Friday night. If he don't take you out Friday night, he don't love you at all. I'm just going to say it just like it is. Chances are he might be taking out his real girlfriend on Friday night. You're the side chick. The side chick Valentine's Day is on Saturday. If he don't take you nowhere, that ain't your man. That's somebody else's man. I'm sorry. I just got to call it what it is. I'm so sorry. The passport bros are taking their money, their resources, and they leaving. They going to get all of the passport bros. They're going to have these big bubble butt Colombian wives. They're going to have these big bubble butt Brazilian wives. They're going to have Vietnamese models, Chinese chick models. They're going to have Japanese chicks with their kimono on. They're going to get these women overseas. They are not dealing with this American nonsense anymore. So if the laws don't change or the situation don't change, well, I pity you. I pity the fool. I pity you. But the bottom line is, the passport bros on the move. Now, Vice, Sammy Carmella, whoever the hell wrote this bullshit, they're in the wrong direction. Nobody cares what you think. I'm sorry. The passport bros are moving. And the sad thing about it is there's nothing that can be done about it because everything they're doing is above board and it's legal. There's nothing illegal about getting your passport, going overseas, meeting a woman, marrying her, and having children and a family over there. There's nothing, absolutely nothing illegal about that. There's nothing that these people can do. And we're going to take our money, take our resources, and we're going to just seek better, greener pastures. Now, some of us will retire, and that's when we'll make our move. Some of us are fortunate enough to have jobs that are mobile, and that's when you'll make your move. You make your move on a mobile job. Congratulations if that's you. But in the meantime, This is what you're looking at. So I watched this video. Of course, they brought up all these people who I wasn't interested in hearing from. I did think it was interesting that Austin Holloman, he was on there. He was featured on there. Of course, Abetya was featured on there. And then there was some other people who were kind of new who I hadn't heard of before. But yeah, that is what it is. It is what it is. This is the movement. And that's why it's a movement. It's like a wheel. It turns. It moves. It moves forward, and it replenishes itself each time it makes a rotation or a revolution. But this is a movement, and it's a damn good movement. I mean, what could be bad about men going to tropical climates, enjoying themselves, and having healthy dating relationships, and meeting women and marrying them and stuff? What could be bad about that? There's nothing. Nothing could be bad about that. That's fabulous. That's fantastic. You got to understand, this is where I'm going to end. America is a toxic environment. Everything about this fucking place is toxic. The food is making you sick. The additives are making you sick. The relationships are making you sick. The communications between people is making you sick. It's a toxic environment. It started out better, but it gradually got much worse. It's a toxic environment. When you get that passport and I know some of you haven't traveled yet. That's why you got to keep saying it. When you get that passport, you go overseas for the first time, your eyes will be opened, and you'll be like, "Oh my God, why didn't I do this earlier?" And you won't even believe the experience you have. You won't be able to believe it. You'll think you're dreaming. Like I've had such times abroad that the only way I know it's true is because I got videos and photos of it. Because without the videos and photos, you'd be like, "Man, did I dream that? Man, what a great dream." It's like, no. The shit was true because I got it on tape. So what I'm saying, get your passports and do what you got to do. But leave this toxic environment right where it is. So the last thing I'm going to say is happy Valentine's Day. Hopefully you've gotten your bae or your beau or your boo or however the hell it's pronounced. Hopefully you got her chocolate, some flowers, and hopefully you plan on taking her out. Because if you don't take her out tomorrow, then, all I can say is that ain't your real girlfriend. And, and by the way, if she starts some shit and you want to take her to some place that's not very expensive, like you want to take her to Cheesecake Factory and she starts some shit, you should dump her right then and there. Like if it's Cheesecake Factory, Applebee, whatever it is, if she starts some shit, "Oh, this is not expensive enough," no, that's when you dump her and get your passport.
Why Chinese women don't want to get married these days. First, Chinese women have much more socioeconomic power and much more choices than before. Second, the marriage law doesn't protect women enough, especially protecting working moms who are pregnant. Third, the Chinese in-laws love to participate heavily in the family and to assert their ultimate dominance for no reason. Fourth, in the traditional Chinese marriage, it's all about women sacrificing her entire life for the family. Young Chinese girls simply don't want to do that anymore. Lastly, the Chinese society is much more open and tolerant of women who don't want to get married.
All right, so basically, really quickly, with Chinese marriage laws, Chinese marriage has taken a hit recently because the problem is they have a male-female imbalance that's left over of the one-child policy. They've tried to turn things back, like they're encouraging people to try to have more children, but now the problem is the women are part of the economy to a point where they don't want to have more children and they don't want traditional marriage with Chinese men. These women are much more likely to seek foreign men at this point. The same thing could also be said is happening in South Korea, and to some extent is also happening in Japan. Part of it is also due to some of the, the attitudes towards women by these potential bachelors who feel that if the women are older than about 25, possibly 27, that they are, they have a term for them. They call them shungnu, leftover women. In Japan, however, they actually call them Christmas cake. And basically what that means is that after the 25th, they're no good. So when they say the 25th, they're talking about their age being 25. So after they turn 25, they're no good. So the Japanese men refuse to marry them. So right here, there are two stories. One is the fact that China has made marriage easier, but made divorce harder. I'm not going to read that one right now, but just suffice to say this. They've basically made it so the whole fear of a man losing half his shit, or even the woman losing half of her stuff to the man, has been basically removed. So if the man has property and the woman's name gets added onto it, he doesn't have to worry about her taking half of it anymore. If the woman has property and the man adds his name to it, he doesn't really, or she doesn't have to worry about him taking half her stuff in a short marriage. And that's been the problem. A lot of times they've had to deal with issues with bride prices and dowries, and they've had to deal with issues with short marriages, causing people to break up and basically, putting the other person in financial problems. So basically, again, they've made marriage easier, but they've made divorce harder. You can read up on it yourself. I was watching a couple of videos. I think one was on China Observer on YouTube, and they were basically talking about that specifically. Here's a really quick story. She said no. Oh, God damn it. What is this? She said no. Marriages in China plummet to record low. Rate of marriages in China lowest since record keeping began in 1986, with cost of living and pushback against traditional gender roles contributing factors. What you're looking at is modern day feminism. Yes, feminism is affecting Asian women, and the problem is over time it will make its way into Southeast Asia. Now, from what I saw while I was over there, Jakarta, Indonesia, and Bali, it'll be a while before that feminism really is able to ruin Southeast Asia. So if you're into Southeast Asian women, or you're into South American women, you've still got some time left. Feminism hasn't completely taken over because for the most part, they don't have stable welfare systems. And on top of that, the men are recognized for doing most of the work, or the hard, the difficult, dangerous, dirty jobs. So for the most part, the women still actually act like they need the men to be there to do stuff for them. All right, so it says marriage in China plummeted to 20% to a record low in 2024 as young people resisted government efforts to convince them to settle down and have more babies. In fact, there are actually some provinces in China where they were having holidays and they were enticing young people to try to date each other on these set-up holidays. And the young people just aren't biting. Marriages in China dropped from 7.7 million in 2023 to 6.1 million last year. Data from China's Civil Affairs Ministry has showed. The figure was less than half the number registered in 2013 and the lowest since record-keeping began in 1986. The data also showed that 2.6 million couples filed for divorce in 2024, up 1.1% from the previous year. The sharp dive in nuptials has amplified by 2023's brief rebound as people caught up on weddings after several years of COVID restrictions. There was also speculations that people had avoided getting married in 2024 because it was an inauspicious widow year in the Chinese lunar calendar. But the broader trend remained on track, stubbornly resisting the ruling Communist Party's push to reverse China's demographic decline. It's not that people don't want to get married, but that they can't afford to get married, said one Changzhou-based commenter on China's social media platform Weibo, which has had more than 46 million engagements about the topic since Monday. China has the world's second largest population and for decades enforced tight restrictions on childbirth, including a one-child policy. But now as China faces a decreasing and aging population, which threatens the country's economic future, the authoritarian government wants people to have more children. A big part of that push is trying to encourage more marriages. Births are tightly linked to marriage in China, with childbearing out of wedlock discouraged by traditional values and various government regulations. But the decades of restrictions mean there are fewer people today who are of marriageable age, and those who aren't interested in marriage or children. For many young people, not getting married is an active choice. At the same time, having their own lifestyle, enjoying single life is also a big reason, said another commenter on Weibo. Women can support themselves and do not need to rely on men. The willingness to get married is much lower than in the past. Concerns over high youth unemployment, the skyrocketing cost of living, education, and childcare, and a pushback against traditional gender roles have held fast against the government's financial entreaties and policy overhauls. Collapsing marriage rates reflect a convergence of social forces, a declining population of young adults, darkening economic outlook for recent graduates, changing attitudes towards marriage, and escalating gender polarization between men and women, said Carl Menzer, Senior Fellow of China Studies at the Council for Foreign Relations, who described the drop in nuptials as extreme. On Weibo, commenters have also noted how society appeared to have become more tolerant, with some highlighting what they said was a shift in the level of pressure being exerted by families at recent Chinese New Year gatherings. So basically, what they're saying is, traditional Chinese families used to put pressure on these kids, but now they've basically given up. 10 years ago, what I heard most from relatives was about which daughter or son was not married by the age of 27 or 28. Now what I hear is about those basically 30 years old and above. Getting married before 27 or 28 is no longer eligible for discussion. Many commenters also cited the controversial introduction of a divorce cooling-off period in 2021, making them wary of the easy entry and strict exit from marriage. Others noted China's refusal to legalize same-sex marriage or provide equivalent rights to same-sex de facto couples. Why did the number of marriage registrations drop again in 2024? Because I am a lesbian, wrote one woman. Jesus Christ. Why you can rely on the Guardian not to bow to Trump? I don't care what you do. Is this it? Oh, shit. So I guess the person who's behind this bullshit is this chick right here, Betsy Reed, and she's the editor, and she wants you to send her money because she's fighting the good fight against Donald Trump and Elon Musk and the Doge. She's fighting the good fight. But this actual article was by Helen Davidson in Taipei. I'm a little disappointed that that's the whole article, but I guess it's in tune with the fact that I didn't feel like reading that long. But this is pretty ugly. So, I know Chinese women, and it's really sad because it's amazing how much difference a few years makes. It's really sad to see a young woman who, had the potential to be a mother. Really, really sad to see her waste herself, go to waste, and her eggs just go to waste. Because, right now, eggs are expensive. Like right now February 2025. The price of eggs is at its all-time high. And to watch these young women, to watch them just go to waste, to just all those potential humans that could have been born, to watch them just go to waste. Meanwhile, having to take care of their own mother because the father's no longer around because he died off, and having them take care. Because a lot of these women, they are products of single mama households. Just like the men that we talk about, they're products of single mama households. Having to watch these young women take care of their mama, and while their own body goes to waste, is just sad. And I've seen this. I could point out about 5 different. I could point out 10 now that I'm thinking about it. Off the top of my head, I could point out like 10 females that I've literally watched waste away. And, they're close to their moms right up until their moms pass away. But watching them just waste away, it's just so sad. And the thing about it is they work, they haven't made themselves good prospects for marriage. They've got nasty attitudes Or if it's not a nasty attitude, they just have an attitude that's damn near asexual, and it's just sad. It's just sad. It's so sad. And I fear that most of them ain't getting shit for Valentine's Day. So, what could we do? Like, there's always got to be a solution. So my thing is, if you know one such woman like that who's wasting herself away, maybe, just maybe, and you're not a simp if you do this. Maybe just get them a little something. Like maybe just get them like like one of them cheap boxes of chocolates, like the $4. Like if you go to the dollar store, Dollar General, Dollar Tree, $4 box of chocolate. Just get them some chocolates. Just get them something. Why? Because it's important to let them know that, they're being watched and somebody cares. It's important to let them know that somebody is watching. Because, it's like, it's very, very sad. It's just so sad. It's just so sad. I mean, the price of eggs is at an all-time high, and to watch entire batches of them just go to waste. It's just so sad. But that's basically about it. The Passport Bros, we may have the solution for these Christmas cake leftover women. We may have a solution for it because, see, we're not as picky about 25-year-old, 26-year-old, 27-year-old. We're not as picky. These Chinese men, they're not having it. They're not having it at all. If you're not, like 22 or 21 or something like that, like, no, they're just not having it. But we're not as picky. So we just might actually, the Passport Bros might end up being a solution. Because I've been noticing a lot of Passport Bros with South Korean women, married, Chinese women, married, Japanese women, marrying these women. Filipino women, marrying them. I think the Passport Bros have the answer. Now, the problem is there's not enough of us. There's only less than 10 million Passport Bros, but the number is growing. But when you're talking about these chicks over there, like these potential Christmas cakes, you're talking about they number in the millions, like the hundreds of millions. Like there's a lot of them. But, we might have the answer for that. We might be able to help them out. We might be able to help them. So, yeah, it's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day. Make sure you get something for that significant other. Make sure you take us someplace nice. And that'll be all for right now. And, of course, I'll be monitoring for any more news Passport Bro related.
This is the truth about Passport Bros. As a coach, I've been helping thousands of guys over the years learn the exact skills to be able to meet and attract women in the West. And yes, it definitely works. So I think that these Passport Bros are just looking for some excuse and wanting to play victim so that they can, go off and try something that seems easier, when in fact, it seems a little ridiculous that you would travel all the way across the seas to a new country to then attract some woman and bring her back to the United States. Or maybe you just stay there and you don't live in the US anymore. Okay, fine for you, but there's an easier way to attract women than having to come up with some crazy, brilliant plan to leave the United States, which, let's be honest, is not practical for most men.
To be continued.